Oh my gosh. This is kind of like this crazy moment where my fan life and my corporate interests run into each other. Emanny Salgado, E self-proclaimed mutt, but playfully so. Outside thoughty body.
A
What's
little bit.
going on, dog? How you doing?
Hold on, brother, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me, man. This is dope.
Hey man, it's a pleasure. I was saying, we talked off mic. Historically, like living corporate, like we have like the W. Kamau Bells, Nicole Hannah Jones, Roy Wood Jr. Then we'll have like a bunch of Fortune 50 executives. But when I think about true artists and creatives, in that, I don't know. I think I'm trying to think of how many I can count on. I think I can count them on one hand.
Mm.
So I'm excited about this conversation because we just don't have a lot of like artists on the pod, even though when you think about living corporate conceptually, it's all about the intersection of work and lived experience. And music and creative is also work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%, 100% work, and it's the beauty of it is while it is work, the passion behind it allows you to enjoy the work in a different way in comparison to having to have a 9 to 5 that you hate going to and everything. So I've had my ups and downs, but the one thing I'll never do is complain about being able to live off of my passion.
It's interesting. I listened to the pod enough to know to hear parts of your story, and I know that you started in the boys' choir, right? Like that's where you got exposed. I think my question is like what got you into that? What got you into music, but then also what kept you into music? Because I think about like when I was coming up, my first instrument was piano. Then I got into band. And I remember, and like I did that even through football. I got hurt. I stayed with band, and I kept doing music till I got a music scholarship. And throughout that journey, right, like there were plenty of kids, particularly black and brown kids, black and brown boys, who would come and go throughout my whatever that was 17, 18 years of me just doing music in some form or facet. So like my
Yeah.
question, I want to know how you got into it, but I really want to know what kept you in it.
So the funny thing is, I I would have moments where I would have to try to answer that for myself,
Hmm.
and was trying to search for the answer.
Hmm.
And long story short, like my mother's side of the family was just full of entertainers,
Hmm.
whether they were singing, whether they were dancing, whether they were just funny. And I think that was my first experience of entertainment and being a part of entertainment, or even being face to face with the entertainment. And then the cliche answer, which is the real answer for me, is Michael Jackson. I picked up a Michael Jackson vinyl, uh, and played it and started mimicking, and at that point knew, oh, okay, I have some level of vocal ability. But if I want to be truly honest, my mother's side of the family, we had a tons of great singers, comedians, and dancers. And when Thanksgiving and Christmas time came around, kids get around, time to put on a show.
Yeah.
And I remember wanting to be a part of that.
Mm.
So that was the real honest start for me.
So you had a community, you had an organic, natural community around you. So the idea of you asked yourself, but it doesn't sound like there were necessarily a bunch of natural pulls to take you out of it because you were raised in that.
Yeah, my sister, my older sister Monique, she would create dances, and I would watch her doing it, and she would get me to teach it to me, just so, like, it was always a community of people that were there to entertain. And I just always remember wanting to be a part of it. It just I guess it's in the blood, man.
Man,
It's in the blood.
it's a beautiful thing. I think about the fact that so for me, I got into music, but my family were not entertainers. My family were working. You know what I'm saying? So, but my mom was like, "No, look, you need to learn this because I have a vision for you that I don't necessarily have, like that I didn't get. So, if you
Mhm.
can speak Spanish, if you can play the piano, then
Mhm.
like I know the world will open up for you. If you can get into music, the world will change." And so, there was a more of a different type of internalized pressure, I think, for me, rather than like, oh, I kind of want to be a part of something.
Mhm.
But I think the common through line though there is your family and mothers, right? Your mom pushing you, encouraging you, and affirming you to do it. That's fire. I mean, I get look. I'm curious because I don't know because Amanda, You in your 40s.
I'll be 42 this year.
Okay, cool. So I'm 35. So we're not like, so you're, I think you're like a young Gen Xer. I'm like a millennial.
Hmm.
I think it's wild because even though like it hasn't been that long ago, after school programs are mad different now, right? Like in terms of just opportunity, availability, expense. I mean, like,
This
do you think about that sometimes? Like in terms of your own journey? Like, I think basically with your family, you probably would end up doing something. But the programming
outside
availability for you.
outside influence was really big. I remember my first daycare I went to, Philip H. Michaels in the Bronx,
Mm,
and it was very pivotal. And set aside the creative part, or just the aspirations, just the social skills, and just the level of just that face-to-face interaction, that genuine thing that is starting to now be lost in a certain sense. Even in these still same programs, it's different now. They might be teaching a level of tech that is more focused on one-on-one, computerized type of experience. When back then, all you had was this.
mhm,
All you had was these. All you
mhm,
had was, we're going to have to engage in a more personable way in order to enjoy ourselves or to occupy time. And we looked forward to that. Like I looked forward to going to my daycare center or my after school program, not just for a reason to get out the house, but because it made me feel like I was actually doing something. It made me feel like I was a part of something, and I was also not alone in it. I had other kids from the same neighborhood experiencing the same things. Yeah, times have changed, and I don't want to down talk, what the kids are experiencing today, because it's important for them in the way that it is for them. But it was just different. It's just different.
we're gonna talk about how it's a little different too. We're gonna keep going, but before we get there, you said you got a Michael Jackson vinyl. What vinyl was it?
Oh, it was the Wiz. So it wasn't the
Okay,
actual Michael Jackson vinyl. It was the Wiz, and it was a song "You Can't Win," and
you
that's
sang
the
"You Can't Win" as a kid. That
as a
people
kid.
that song is not easy.
No, even as a kid, it's not easy to range the movement, and I would study that song. And I
Yeah,
wasn't allowed I wasn't allowed to touch the vinyl player. So what I would do is I would wait for mom and dad not to be home, and when
yeah,
big sister is off doing whatever she's doing on the phone and not paying me no mind,
yeah.
I go in the living room, put the vinyl on, and I would jam out. And I think at a certain point, I think my sister is kind of really the first one to be like, notice like he got a little bit of talent, he got some rhythm and stuff.
Yeah.
So she would embrace me in that way. But it's weird. We had a whole conversation on the podcast about like core memories,
Mhm,
and there was a debate about, do you really have them? Do you remember? And I remember certain moments in my life as a kid.
mhm.
I remember the first time I put on that "You Can't Win" record. I remember the first time I remember sneaking and looking around and making sure nobody. It was so pivotal, like so pivotal. Like it's literally what shaped me to wanting to even sing.
Man, that's so dope. Now, listen. My last question about that is: were you also trying to do like any of the moves, or were you just focused on singing at that time?
No, I was focused on the moves, and I used to dance, and but I'll be honest with you, I was good at it, but it was never like a focal point. The one thing I do appreciate about my growth within music, even as a kid,
Mm,
there was never a point I wanted to be like another artist.
mm.
It was never a point like, as I love, like I can tell you almost anything you need to know about Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
I've studied him from childhood to the day he passed, and
yeah.
even after that, still study. But as an artist, I never wanted to be like him. I never wanted to be a dancer like he was. I never wanted to have to embody. I do think there's similar inflections in certain records that I might do, but I never wanted to be him.
Mm.
I like just love the influence that he presented me with. Also, James Brown and Prince and Tina Turner and just different people. Like I just loved them as artists, as entertainers, and I just always wanted to be able to pick what I need to pick from it and be able to make it mine. So
There's a difference, man, in being like inspired, and I think like just straight swagger jacking, right? So, and
yeah,
that's dope. I think that also, I would say, without going like trying to put a therapy hat on, I would imagine the fact again that you already kind of knew who you were even as a young kid because of the the community around you, that it was you maybe didn't have the same temptation to get lost in somebody else's identity, right? So,
Yeah.
let's talk about it, though, in terms of like this music thing, because I remember being in high school, being in college, and seeing you, but I didn't know. I didn't realize, like, oh, that's. And then I saw, because at first I ain't gonna hold you. I thought when I saw you first on the Joe Budden podcast, I thought you was that light skinned dude from Living Single. Do you get that a lot?
No, no.
Nobody's ever told you that.
What are you talking about? Never heard that.
No one's told you that you look like that, man.
No, I've heard John Legend. I've heard Tyga. I've heard
Nah,
dude from Soul Food.
hold on.
Wait, no, that is the guy you're talking about. The guy,
Maybe so. Hold on. Let me see. Hold on.
yes, is the same guy.
It's the
All right,
same guy.
you are talking about that guy. Yes, I've heard that. Before.
Okay, because I was about Mel Jackson.
I thought you were talking about Ovaltine. I'm about to
Oh
say,
no,
ain't
come on, bro. Come on. I'm a black man. I'm not. Y'all don't. We don't all look alike. But you and Mel Jackson.
okay, I've heard that before.
Okay, okay. I was about to say because my
I've heard
eyes work, dog. So, but I remember, though. I like there'd be music videos and things like that. I would watch, and I would always see like this light skinned dude like singing falsetto. I'm like, yo, and so I just connected like, oh, that's Emanny. So like, it's interesting, man, because and it's you take it for granted. I'm about to jump around you. It's like, what do you take certain eras for granted?
Mhm.
Because I remember being a little bit younger when Cisco dropped Thong Song, and I was a little kid. Now, at the time, I didn't really think Cisco was going crazy vocally because in that era, everybody was singing, right? But like when you fast forward to the day, like, and you go back and you listen to, like, for me anyway, when I go back and I take my ears now, I'm like, oh dang, like I was spoiled male R&B singing wise, because dang, this man is fire.
I was in the arts. Well, I was in the Choir Academy of Harlem at the time, and it's a school of 500 kids, and it's co-ed, and it's from fifth grade to 12th. So that gives you an idea of
Wow.
how small it was. Like our graduating class is no more than 30 kids.
Okay.
Very tight knit school, full of singers. And at that time when Thong Song came out, we knew the skill that you needed to possess to get to that range, that to be able to belt in that way. Cisco was highly underrated. It's interesting to have to bring it. Cisco was highly underrated as a vocalist. That album that Thong Song was attached to is a classic in my book. Like it, he was a singer, but also an entertainer's entertainer, and he also wasn't afraid to kind of do some of the things that might have been deemed as corny
That are
or this
mainstream now.
that are 100%
Cats got
mainstream.
tats on their thighs now, Manny.
That's nasty. But we're gonna let them do what they do. Enjoy your life how you want to do it. But that is nasty. But no, I love. I always have that thing like if I would want to be a part of a different generation,
Mm-hmm,
and not just even just creatively, just
mm-hmm.
like in life. Like if I've heard before, like you have an old soul. You might have needed to have been born in the 70s or whatever. But I love my generation. I love my generation as far as music, as far
Yeah.
as experience, just the I'm very big on the simpler things. Like I miss the days of going outside in the street and having to have the pen in your back pocket
Yeah.
to get a lady's number, or even just the thrill of waiting by the phone to wait for the phone call to come through, making sure nobody get on the phone because there ain't no call waiting just yet. Like there was a certain energy and a certain appreciation for just the simple things and just life and real interaction that we take for granted now.
I think I agree with you. And so going back to it just a bit, because when Cisco dropped that song, I was 10. So
Mm.
I didn't appreciate until I got a little older and got into music. Oh wait, he did hit a key change, or he's singing super hard.
He did a
But
modulation on a club record.
like what? And
So, come on.
but here's the thing though. Like I said, like during that era, he was surrounded by other excellent singers. So
Mhm.
yes, Cisco was entertaining and he was cool. But like, and I told somebody this, like who was a little younger than me, right? I'm like, listen, if you drop Cisco, like the talent in today's era, he's got everybody wiped now. Like,
Ask somebody of this generation, and there are people who are vocal. Like Luke James to me is a vocal beast,
mhm,
right? Um, Singing and having the skill is just one thing. Also, being able to put the character on the record.
Hmm.
Uh, there's certain things that people take for granted. If that song dropped today with any type of inkling of still cool attached to it, because I do think that just the thong song name was a little like a little corny,
A little
but
bit, a little bit.
let's just say you don't remove let's just say you remove the corny from it. You just drop it off in today's landscape of music.
Yeah,
The tempo itself is going to get you into like, oh my God, what the hell is this? The visual alone is going to get you in the same space. And when you have someone as dominant and as confident as Cisco, who is cool with rocking the platinum hair,
yeah,
who's cool with, and it goes on stage and just gives you that,
yeah.
out the moon, out of
Man,
here.
it's crazy. And like to your point though about that about the area that you were describing, I think so much of it is just intentionality. Like technology hadn't advanced to the point where you could mail certain stuff in. No, you want to get this person's number, you got to have something on you to take the number down. Write it on your hand, write it on my arm, whatever the case is. Like just the lack of digital connectivity forced us to be more connected in real life. And
Mhm.
so I do think that impacts the music, man. And so like I said, I'm thinking about the fact that you were on hooks with Jada Kiss, with Ross. Obviously, you did a ton of work with Joe Budden on all those mood musics.
Mhm.
There's even this cover, and listen, I asked the, you can't really ask the internet because I don't know. There's a cover of somebody climbing a building like Spider-Man. Is that you or Joe? Do you know what I'm talking about? You wearing like a leather jacket and you got it's like flying in the wind. That must be y'all. Y'all
That
look.
has to be Joe.
Oh,
It's
y'all
not me.
looked okay. I'm gonna
No.
send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you after.
Yeah.
Y'all look exactly the same in the picture. And that
Nah.
and I'm like, yo, who? I'm like, let me ask Emanny when I get him on the pod. Like, but
Yeah, yeah,
anyway,
no,
the point
that's
is
Joe.
because the point is like I think about the fact that like you started music, boys choir, traveled the world.
Mhm.
You get into the music industry, huge names that are still relevant right now,
Mhm.
and then you Uber driving.
Yeah. Listen,
Talk to me about
uh,
that.
so I'll say my musical career, or as far as my studies and real serious take at the field, starts roughly around 15. Before that, I had performed and traveled with the group. But as far as like really thinking, okay, I might have a real career and shot at this, started at around 15. And when it started at the work ethic was there. Like we worked, we rehearsed, we did a lot of just preparation, but we also had a level of glamour that was attached to it because we already came from a school with a very prominent name. We never had to do like the talent shows, and like we were getting booked. Like
Yeah.
from day one, we getting booked. We were like there was a cachet already attached to us as being members from the Boys Club Harlem. Um, so I instantly, felt like, okay, this is how it goes. This is how things are gonna go. And then at a certain point, that stopped, and then I was left alone.
Hmm.
And the one thing funny enough, when people speak to me about just what my outlook on my career was supposed to be, I never had a vision of me being a solo artist. And I don't think I've said that enough. I never thought I was going to be a solo artist.
Hmm.
I never even really kind of aspired to be a solo artist. Like I was always so used to like the family unit thing, or being a part of a group, being a part of a choir. Even when I had a moment where I thought I was going to be the sixth member of Bone Thugs and Harmony, because me and my cousin, we rapped just like them and we rapped together. It was so when the group ended and I was left alone, it was like, okay, I don't know, like what do I do with all this information? What do I do with this resume? I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to continue to build on it, and that took time to build. And then at a certain point, I started working with other people and started to see results, but the results were just namesake. They didn't equate to finance because I really didn't know the business, and I
Hmm.
had no one to really teach me the business.
Okay.
So yeah, I had some moments where it was like great years where I just lucked up and ended up in great situations, and you know the talent was getting me far enough to where I could sustain. But then, anybody tell you hard work will always outbeat talent in this industry. And I just didn't know. I
Yeah.
just know what I didn't know. I didn't know I was ignorant to just certain aspects of how this business works. I just always worked off the mindset, if I talented and I really show my talent and I'm confident in it, something to pan out. And it just didn't work. So at a certain point, when I felt like I reached my ceiling in New York, I moved to LA and was like, I'm gonna get a fresh start and try to figure this out and boom, boom, boom. And LA is where everybody's at. And I got to LA and it was like, who are you? Like, no, like get to the back of the line.
Hmm.
There's about 7,000 other imports who do exactly what you do, and you got to wait your turn.
Hmm.
And at that point, you kind of just like, yo, all right, I gotta eat. I gotta figure it out. I sadly enough, a high school dropout, so I didn't have a diploma, I didn't have a GED, I didn't have anything else to fall back on, but my experiences and my talent, and that led me to be like, all right, Uber's right there. Time to get in this Uber. I got a car and
Yeah.
I got a license, so I'm gonna go do that. And I did that, and it was honestly, it was very embarrassing for the first week or so. Um, but there was a beauty in it in the sense that it humbled me. It gave me true perspective of what this industry looks like and what it would take for me to really make it in this industry.
Yeah.
And also, I liked knowing that no matter what, just as a man, no matter what was going to happen in life, I was going to make sure that I was okay and able to do the things I needed to do as a man to sustain. Passion aside.
Yeah. You talked about you having like good years, bad years, not necessarily knowing the business. Like, break it down for like, shoot, for me, hell, and but also for the audience, like, because I think about like outside looking in, seeing if there's a couple ways to do it, right? Especially like if you're a singer, it's like you can kind of do like a bunch of brown paper bag deals. You could obviously do the independent thing. You could try to
Mhm,
sign with a label, a major, get it work through your advance and kind of let that sustain, and maybe you tour. Like,
mhm,
at what without literally getting into your business, like if you could do it again, like that season where
mhm,
you were the feature guy,
mhm.
where you were the hook guy, what would you do different on the business side?
I definitely would have surrounded myself with people who were clearly the better option in business, and remove some of the friendship and remove some of the entitlement that I felt I had to certain people and certain allegiances. I definitely would have took more chances on possible deals that were offered.
Mhm.
I was in the mind frame of the industry is, you know, always out to get you. Got to be careful. Don't sign the wrong thing because it could ruin your life. So, and when I think back, I was like, that bad contract could have led to a different result. I should have taken a little bit more chances in some of those situations. Like that fear of flight was 100% a big problem for me a lot in those times. Just the fear of just sometimes even taking the chance that wasn't sure. Like I was very much so the person that wanted to see everything in front of me, know exactly what was going to happen, and
Mm,
then I'll make a move. And it's
mhm.
just you just can't, that's just not plausible in this game.
I mean, it's not really plausible. Period. To your
Period.
point, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
and
at all.
like to your point, man. Like, I never forget when guys think about just how much life has happened. But I remember when Joe was yelling at Yachty about if he's in a 360 or not, right? And I was talking to all of my friends at this time. I think I was like 25. I don't know. I was in my early 20s. I remember when that complex thing dropped, and finally at one like something hit me, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. A 360 deal is probably
A
one of the most
great,
a life changing great deal for like 99% of people."
depending on the artist, depending on the situation, depending on, a 360 deal is probably what most people would need at this point. Like, unless you come into the table with some leverage, unless you come into the table like, yeah, take that deal. Now
Learn.
work outside of that, still build your brand. Like, people really lose sight of the fact that labels are banks at this point. It's a loan, and you're lucky if you actually start to be able to build relationships with the tellers or with the CEO
Right.
or with the branch manager. Like, great. If you get those relationships, perfect. Do not depend on it. Like they're in the business of turning a profit. They're in the business of, I gave you X amount. This is what we expect back. If you do not bring this back,
Don't ask
then
me for nothing else.
yeah, and that's business. So as much as we like, don't get me wrong, there is language and there is miseducation that is very predatory towards artists. But that's why now I'm very big on just preaching to artists and anybody that's looking to get into any learn your business.
Yeah.
Take the time to learn the business, the ins and outs. Um, if you are the artist, be as much as an artist on your own time, but also take time to think from the business owner's mindset.
Yeah.
So that's personalized. Um, you don't personalize what the business is doing to you. The one thing that messed me up is I personalized everything that the business was doing
Hmm.
to the point where it affected me wanting to even do music. Like I just was like, I'm done. The business is just not for me, and I'm never gonna make it this way. And it was like, no, you personalize this. The business don't really. They're not looking out to just jerk you. This is just the setup of the business.
This is just how it is. Like, Emanny, when I tell you, man, like it's probably some light skin unity here, but like I'm the same. I'm the same way. Like I think in corporate America, I think about so many times where I think like, oh, now obviously racism is a thing, sex, all the things, those are all real, and they're persistent and consistent throughout all industries. So that's I'm not dismissing that, but the exploitative nature of corporate is a
Yeah.
constant. And like it wasn't honestly, man, until probably like 3 or 4 years ago, right? And I've been in had some corporate jobs since I was 20 years old.
Hmm.
I graduated college early. So like I've been working. It probably
Yeah.
wasn't until my early 30s that I was able to really understand that, hey man, this is just the game. Like
Yeah.
it's just the game. And like, especially this landscape, you're looking around, people getting laid off left and right. It don't matter, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? You gone. And like, and it's happening in the music industry as well. Like the whole, so many of these labels, I don't know how many of these labels even are the front offices are even the same.
So many departments are shrinking. Just the business model for labels are changing at this point.
Mhm.
They're damn near shaping into just tech companies at this point. They're not even in the business of music. They're
It,
just in
it
they're in the
almost,
business of algorithm pushing.
it
At this
almost, I was about to say, it almost looks like they're like tech distribution partners for your IP. So, hey, we'll license and have some type of relationship. And hey, we control these buttons. We control the make it hot buttons
Mhm.
and we have the capital. So we'll fund it and spin it up. But in terms of like, hey, I'm gonna sit you down with a coach, or I'm gonna send you off to LA to sit under this person and learn
Artist
it.
development is over. If anyone is thinking that you're going to get to a label and they're going to be focusing on developing and honing into your own, it's no. You need to be prepared to either one outsource that, or you need to be prepared to come to the table already equipped with everything that's needed for them to feel confident in uh, investing into you in that type of way.
Now, we talked about your journey, Harlem Boys Choir, Rick
Mhm.
Ross, no shirt on,
Yeah,
Uber in LA.
yeah.
Walk me. Obviously, there was music that you've dropped that you're continuing to drop. I saw the teaser on. I saw you tease on your socials. I listened to your latest album. All of that. But there was like I really want to understand what it looked like for you to integrate into the pod. And I'm sure that other people have asked. I don't care. I'ma ask. Like, what did that look like? And I think the double thing I want to ask here is because your relationships, you've had relationships for a while, right? Like, were you and Maul in the Harlem Boys Choir at the same time?
Yeah,
Y'all were singing together.
yeah.
So you knew Maul already.
I,
I know you've alluded to y'all was together in high school.
mhm.
You
I,
obviously had a relationship with Joe.
yep.
Go ahead. Like, what did that look like? Like you was just in LA Ubering. Joe called you. Said, I need a favor. Like,
Oh, so funny enough, as far as getting integrated with this version of the pod, that just happened to be happenstance.
mm,
Me now living back in New York, moving to Jersey, and in the midst of me traveling throughout my day and working and running around, hustling, bustling, I would just stop by the pod and go chill with my friends and go. I watch the pod.
Mhm.
So what better way to watch the pod than to be able to sit there and watch the pod?
Mhm.
So I would just do that just on a humbug. And there's been moments where he's called and then asked me, "Yo, come up and chill and get on a show," and I've done it. And then there's been moments where I was like, I can't do it." Um, but I always had people don't know I had aspirations of doing a podcast, and I did one back in 2013. It's called The Box Office, and it was me, uh, my people, Sophie, another young lady by the name of Wilma, Ice, and Maul. So we had a podcast all together at that point, and this is before we really understood what the landscape was going to become. Very fresh, and we didn't stick to it. There was no real funding behind it. Salutes to Sirius XM and Shrink Rap Media. They were the ones that were really giving us the platform to do so and giving us the studio time and everything
Mhm.
for free. And we dropped the ball.
Mhm.
We dropped the ball. So that was 2013. And at that point, I always said I wanted to do some level of conversation pieces and things like that. I didn't think that it would be the same type of podcast that like Joe started doing and anything like that. But yeah, it just naturally flowed into me just being a part of the pod. And because we have the I don't think anything shouldn't be spoken to the fact that we just have the relationship we have. So yes, integrating me is probably easier than a lot of other people because we have relationship, we have a level of equity there, and stories that can be told that will be deemed interesting. He already knows my point of view. I know his. We don't have to play off of each other when it comes to jokes. So it's a very easy integration for him. And also with Ice and Parks and Ish, I had already known them. So the rapport was already there to easily be able to fit into this space and know my role.
Yeah,
But
yeah, keep going.
yeah, it was really kind of I do think for everybody involved a no brainer. It's like he's here, and why would we not? If we're looking to grow this business, why would we look elsewhere instead of looking into the people that you're already familiar with, who you know can present you with the talent that you need?
You know what's interesting? Some of it is probably so. I'm my people from Mississippi. I'm a Southern dude. Um, it might be just the culture of New York. It's interesting because when y'all be talking up there and like going at each other, to me, like if you put like Southern sensibilities on that, I'm like, oh, they about to shoot each other. I'm like, oh, y'all about to go crazy, and yet, y'all move on. It's cool. And I know cats make fun of you, like when you get vulnerable or you try to be authentic for a moment, your lips stick out. They be acting like you some type of bubble bass. You and I have actually similar sized lips. It's just that my everything on me is bigger than you. So like, I think yours just go a little crazier. But like, I'm curious, like, how do you balance vulnerability with like entertainment and also like not deteriorating relationship up there, right? I've heard other places, you've had your one-on-ones out, off mic. Like, what does that look like? And are you really, is it a cerebral thing, or like, is this something that you're actively trying to think about and manage, or is it you just kind of go with the flow every, podcast to podcast?
I'm very clear in telling people that I am an emotional person. I'm an
Mhm.
emotional guy. There are moments where I think maybe I think I know. I take certain things to heart that probably aren't that serious. But if I'm being completely honest, I am very good at acting.
Mhm.
And I don't think I'm so good at acting that if I think the greatest skill, and there's another thing I learned from Michael,
Mhm.
the greatest skill that I've picked up as an entertainer
Mhm.
is to be able to get across um, the total opposite of what I'm feeling in the moment. Like I'm really good at pretending to be in a certain mood. I know how I need to say it. I know how my body needs to move. I know how my face needs to look. It's all for me the aspect of being the greatest performer and entertainer possible. So even sometimes when I'm having those moments of vulnerability, It's a lot of times where I could care less about any of the stuff. But and even me saying that is kind of like lifting the veil. It's a certain way. But um, I love. I do think I'm a great actor,
Hmm.
and I just feed into that. And on the pod, it allows me to be the greatest actor possible to the point where even sometimes the people I'm working with don't know that I'm acting.
Listen, your lip bag is incredible.
They're gonna, whoever's watching this is 100% going to pause that.
They're gonna
But,
pause it. They're gonna pause it.
hey,
But no
it's
pause or
we
pause,
mature.
whatever.
We
Respect to
mature.
all parties. Lip bag go crazy. I hope it's a drop. I don't care. Like you'll be like that man. You be talking about how you was talking about like like connection and relationship and then like you'll do the side profile and who's on camera they get you and I'm not the person who screenshot stuff but they get you with that side profile them lips be out here and then your eyes be kind of watery. I'm like, oh, this dude is good.
Yo, when I tell you, I listen to them talk, and I know the moment where it's time. Okay, let me get into this. And I won't sit here and lie and pretend like that's just all the time. Like there's
Sure.
definitely moments where I've tripped up and gotten emotional and got into my own bag, but a large percent of the time, I am 100%. The moment I sat down on the podcast, I had to decide what was it that I was going to try to do up here that made it worth me being here. Like, don't get me wrong, I know I present a skill and I know that I am valuable,
Hmm.
but if I'm there or not there, and I think that goes for a large part of the cast, the show moves. The show moves on. It's not,
Right.
it's not a thing where you miss one person and the show is,
Mm-mm.
you know, not going to work.
Mm-mm.
So I had to decide what was it that I was going to be more focused on. Was I going to be focused on being right? Was I going to be focused on being the best debater? Was I going to be focused on any other aspect of being known as the arm, whatever? And I told myself I want to be the the best possible entertainer possible up there. Even in the hate moments, I need there to be some level of entertainment factor to it, even if it's just to bounce off so that someone else can get their better moment.
It's dope and it's funny because now look, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm typically I'm an interview driven pod, right? So and I don't have co-hosts and I certainly don't have six or seven or rotations of them, right? I
Mhm.
do often think about like, man, what is it even like to manage and navigate all those different energies on all like just it's so much, right? And so like and then speaking about it being worth your while, now look, we're gonna get to plead the fifth in a second. That's a segment I made just for you, Emanny.
Let's do it.
But before we
I
get to
love those type of segments. I
before,
love them.
before we get to plead the fifth, this ain't even a plead the fifth. I'm about to ask this question for real. So Joe was just obviously at the time of this recording, New York Times article dropped about Joe Budden, the Joe Budden Network and Podcast, CEO Ian Schwartzman, head, blah blah blah. Joe Budden
Killing.
killing it,
Mhm.
on pace to make $20 million, and then he dropped a little nugget about 1.5 million across his co-hosting, not and his contractor co-hosts. And you
Mhm.
weren't mentioned, but he made a point in today's pod, which dropped last night. If you're Patroni, ow, no ad, that you were included in that because they didn't say your name in the article, but he was like, no, Emanny also. So there's been like math going on of
Mhm.
that 1.5,
Mhm.
like where the splits are at.
Mhm.
Is it fair to say that you're comfortable with your split of that 1.5?
Yeah, more than comfortable. And you want? I hate saying answers like this because no one ever believes them. But I
Because
want to
I
be
don't
very,
believe you. Dead ass. I don't believe you right now. But keep going.
I want to be very clear. That job for me was never about how much he's going to pay me to work up there.
Mm,
It honestly never was.
mm-hmm.
It was, first off, I'm an entertainer,
Yeah.
I'm a singer, and this is a platform that I think any entertainer or singer would love to have exposure to be able to take that and build on their own. That to me was the first thought I ever had when he asked me to be up there. So, and I'll be very blunt. There was never like a big sit down of negotiation about, well, this is what we're going to pay you, and me going back. Nah, I want this. It was like, okay, yeah, we want you to be part. All right, well, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Think maybe this. All right, cool. Well, I think we can. Would you be okay with this? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. When it came time for negotiation time, there was nothing. When it came time to do a new contract, there was no like I look at this opportunity, and I think Joe would agree. This is for you to also build your own brand and do what you need to do.
And he said that. He has said that.
And I know he means that. And he's never not once stopped me or like made me feel like doing anything outside would be a hindrance. He's actually pushed. He's actually said, "Yo, what do you need help with?" Like I look at this opportunity to be able to do what I do there, get the exposure, get the education, and in turn that into what I need to turn it into for myself. The the 20 million on pace that they're making is for them to make within the company because they built that company for what it is. I am a part of that, and what I get out of that, I'm more than happy. Now it is for me to take that education and go find a way to build my own 20 million or 10 million or for whatever that looks like for myself.
Yeah.
That is what all of this is. Being a part of the team is just a pleasure in itself, and the exposure to the rest of the world. And I will say this: I did 100% say to him, "Hey, next time y'all do some type of article, make sure my name is in that, because that to me is more important than
Right.
the trying to figure out,
The
well,
split.
how much does he make?" And no, make sure I'm mentioned. Make sure that to me is more important. But all that other stuff about, let's try to figure out
Because
who
they
makes
got you at 72,000. And I was like, I ain't don't do a money like that. Like Emanny's making more than a math teacher,
70,
respectfully.
70. And let me just say this: 72,000,
Ain't
which
chump now.
which is not the number, but 72,000 for a person that works 2 times a week, who works only half of the day,
Mhm.
who has also 5 other days out of the week to go get it yourself and figure it out. That would be an extra 72,000 that I don't think anybody would turn down.
No, you're
That's a
100%. You're 100% right. We talked. It's
yeah.
so funny. And shout out to the JBP Reddit Discord,
Mhm.
KB, uh, Mixie, Pale, West, all of them, because we were literally just talking about that. And I was like, the thing about it is contextually, like, how often are you up there? Now, here's my thing. This is a side. This is 72. Again, we're not saying that the number is 72. And listen, I'm not them. So if this is not, there's not going to be a headline, Emanny makes $72,000 with the podcast. But like, my thing about it just is, I think I struggle, man, with like, I don't understand New York cost of living. Like, I live in Houston. So like, I don't even know. So you're right. Like, to me, yo, that's 72 bands, but I don't really know I have friends up there, they rent is like 4 or 5 bands.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Uh,
saying?
I'll put it this way. Before I started working at the pod, what people don't know is that I have a home, I have my
Mhm.
kids, I have things that I naturally already did. So I don't know if people just thought I just didn't work or pay for anything before being on the pod, but
It did.
me going to the pod was an add-on to everything else that I already was doing. So
Yeah.
I look at what I do and make at the pod as the extra to what I was already having to do on my own and maintain. If
Yeah.
people really had an understanding of that, I like the broke or the whatever stuff that they do. I feed into it in moments because I do think it also allows me the luxury of not having to do the pocket watching thing
But
that
yeah,
everybody.
you low. You low.
I'm cool. I love this presentation, and I'm more than happy and comfortable with keeping it up because it'll keep y'all off my backside as far as trying to figure out. Yeah, they got it. I ain't got nothing for you.
Cause
I'm
I'm
cool.
because I'm gonna tell you, Manny, there has to be a population of the listenership that sees you as you was sleeping in your car and Ubering, maybe you singing a hook for Lil Fentanyl and them to get you through. And then Joe saved you, and now you get to, and that's really like that's really
Yeah.
your home. So no, but I love that too. I think there's a beauty in, and that goes back into just like being at peace with who you are, right? Because I can see somebody really insecure getting upset about that and finding the need to like try to flex and be like, well, no, actually, I'm good. I got, look at all this money I got,
But,
or whatever
but
the case.
but you know what? Though, even the weird part in that. Let's just say that is true. Let's just
Hmm.
say that. Let's go with that.
Hmm.
There would still be a beauty in having a friend being able to employ you in a way to help you out of a rut or like that. There's no downside to that.
Hmm.
Like for the most part, most of the people talking, if we just take just the average income of just the average American, most people aren't doing that great.
No,
Most people aren't.
no,
So most of the people talking, if we just went off average and just off percentages and statistics, most of the people talking are not doing well themselves.
facts.
So if you already have that perception of me, cool. It is a blessing to be able to say that I always stuck with, if you think my friend is the person doing this and great, then you need to go find a friend like that too, so that maybe your life might be a little better than what it. Yeah, like I don't have any. I don't look at that as shameful. I don't look at that as embarrassing.
Mm-mm.
If the day ever came where I was really in a rut and really needed that help, it's great to know that I have someone that I can lean on who will help me get back to my spot. Like there's people today who are millionaires who have the accolades who always speak to, like Teddy Riley has had moments where he talked about having hits and plaques and all these different things and working with Michael Jackson and then having to file for bankruptcy and having a loan, borrow money from, like, people go through things, and it's a blessing to be able to say my friend who I saw go through the same struggle is now in a space where he can employ his friends and not ever have to have them go through the same things that he went through. So yeah, even in that logic, I'm kind of like, there's no embarrassment in that. I think that's fly.
And I think that perspective is important. Like the keeping that relative perspective goes back to what I was saying about the 360s. Do I personally think you should be in a 360 for your whole life, whole career? No. But do I think if you come off the street, you don't know anything, and you got a 360 for a couple of years where you can learn? Hey, yo, I think
Yeah.
that that's fly. And I think that there is, when you talk about the average person, I think like social media kind of gets us hyped up thinking it jacks up it skews our perspective. Right. And
It,
so you're 100% right.
we have a broadcast that generates what it generates, and for the most part, outside of Mark and Mel, no one else up there has had any broadcast experience. No one has had any journalism experience. No one has ever even done a show like this before this. And Flip has done that for himself as well. But outside of those three people, uh, you're talking about in experience as far as the field go. You're talking to a very rookie cast that makes a nice penny to do this. I don't think anyone should complain. I don't. And I've said that before, and that's my outlook on.
There's a popular clip of you and Ish going back and forth
Yeah,
about like what like is this hard work? And I think you kept contextualizing it in like, hey man, there's people out there busting they back to make pennies on these dollars. Like this is like I love the perspective, and I
I,
think it's important.
I watched my father get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to NYU and work and bust his butt. He's a respiratory therapist. I watched him physically, work 5 days a week, mentally work 5 days a week, get home and have to do that level of work. Um, and he made enough money to take care of his family, but he never, my father never made the money I made, and he bust his ass.
Yeah,
And it would be disrespectful to work at a place, no matter how long I worked there, whether 10, 12 hours, to work somewhere for 2 days a week and to have the nerve to complain about the work I'm doing. Now, don't get me wrong. Outside of that space, I do other work. So yes, I'm able to say I work hard but that space alone, that only requires me to be there twice a week for the amount that I'm making, it's a slap in the face to all the other people out here who, sadly enough, are under the poverty line or just making it and feel like, how dare you?
Yeah. Now look, we're gonna take us out of serious mode. We're gonna play plead the fifth. All right. Now look, I'm gonna ask you these questions. You
Hmm.
can give it up or you cannot give it up. I'm not tripping either way. I'm just gonna get the questions off. You
All
plead
right,
the
let's
fifth, just say I plead the fifth. All right.
let's do it.
So you told the story one time about someone about another musician coming on to you while y'all playing Goldeneye. He wanted to play it with a different type of eye.
I
Uh,
plead the fifth.
oh,
Whatever you say.
no, you don't care what the follow up about to be.
I feel like you're gonna ask me who the person
I'm
is.
not. I'm not. I'm not.
Okay, cool. All right,
All right,
cool,
cool.
cool. All right, cool.
Have you ever been propositioned by someone in the music industry and seriously debated it?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. There was a female exec. At the time, I mean, she was an old exec, but she still was a decent looking lady. And I thought about it. Thought about it. Uh,
Why didn't you?
so while the mature answer would be is that I had some integrity, it wasn't so much that I had integrity. It was just that I thought that that's what I was supposed to do. So when I went back to my team and told them about it, they looked at me and said, "Is you dumb? What like we would have been had our deal solidified." And I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought I was doing the right thing to show face for the team.
Oh,
I thought by denying it was the thing that you're supposed to do. And I was younger. I was like young 20, maybe like 21, 22. So I didn't really,
you
have a
was
lot
even
of
cuter.
that's another pause.
They
They're
gonna
gonna
get
get
me.
you.
They gonna
They
get
gonna
me.
I'm just
I,
letting you know. I'm just-
that's crazy. So
oh.
so you
So no,
told her no.
yeah. Well, I there was no verbal way of doing it. The situation was me sitting in a chair and the hands coming over me and going down and me just jumping up and being like, "Oh,
Oh, you couldn't even play it off for the double back because you were so
I was pussy. I was pussy. I messed it up. And when I think about that person and the power that they had at the time that I really didn't understand because I didn't even really know who they were. I
yeah.
was just learning. If I would have did that, I'd probably been Chris Brown 2.0 maybe or Trey Songz 2.0, whatever artist that they were prepping.
And without the baggage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
is
Well,
that
who knows?
but who
Because I was
but
wild. I was wild back then. So I might have. There's this thing, and I had this conversation with an artist yesterday.
mm,
Salutes to him. And he said something to me that I related to a lot. He said he was glad that the success he's seeing now he didn't see at a younger age because he believes he possibly would have messed up his career. He wasn't prepared for some of the things that uh, mentally was in front of him. And same with me. I I have a hot temper. I'm just learning how to control my hot temper. I know back then you give me some success, insane amount of money. I 100%. I could see myself easily messing that up through a fight, through a lawsuit, through whatever it is.
I I definitely there's something powerful about you don't want to have so much talent that your character can't handle. And sometimes you got to develop your character over time.
Yeah,
So I get that. I get that. So I'm gonna do a part B to this question. We're gonna keep going. Is the person still powerful now?
yeah.
They even
They
more powerful.
they're yeah, they're more powerful now than they were then. Yeah, they can make something shake in the blink of an
You might need to spin the block. All right. So
eye.
question two. Question two. Plead the fifth or not. So you and Maul, y'all came up together. At what point did you realize, hey, we're not gonna be able to be as cool as I want to be, or as I thought we could be?
um, hmm. I want to answer this in a respectful way because I think as men, if you do have an issue with someone, and it's not an issue to the point where it's just like, you know, F you, whatever, this and that. I think whenever you have an issue with a man and you don't get an opportunity to address them first about the issue, that you shouldn't speak about it in other forums.
Received.
I don't
Fair.
have a problem with speaking about it, but I do think just as men first,
Yeah.
forget history, forget relationship. The fact that I'm not able to really say it to that person first, then I just shouldn't vocalize. So
That's
I'll plead
fair. You plead the
just so
fifth. Can I
yeah.
can I say something? I
Mhm.
100% vibe with that. I agree. I think me and my silly self, I just assumed that y'all, because everything is, the degree separation is so small.
It
I
has
figured,
nothing. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with Joe. It has nothing. And when I say not vibe, like it's just the you grow in different directions, and maybe there's certain things about uh him that don't connect with, and vice versa. There's probably things if you ask me, yo, I don't vibe with that level of So it's not like a one sided thing where I'm totally right in thought and vice versa. It's just it's just some discrepancies that I felt, and I never really got an opportunity to address it to him. So I felt like, why would I ever speak about those
in
issues?
another space.
Yeah, yeah,
Super fair. No, super fair. That's a very, I mean, I gotta respect that fifth, because some, I don't know. That's a good plead to fifth. All right. So then my next question, you talked earlier about you're a good actor, you're a great actor. Have you ever read lines with Mel? And if you haven't, would you do so to help her get ready for a movie?
Oh, I've never read Lines with Mel, but if she asked me to do it to help her, yeah, I would.
Why do you think that people latch on to the narrative that y'all dated or were dating?
The only two single people up there, and I come with the freaky E vibe, and it's easy to do. Like people attached. There was a certain point where people kept attaching her and Ish, and
That was a
even that
thing.
even that was irresponsible because Ish had a lady at the time.
Relationship.
But Mel is also she knows how to play. She's an actress. She knows how to play into a narrative just for the sake of the narrative, just to get the kick out for the fanship. But then you forget that when you do that, you allow people to now roll into it and make their assumptions, and it's hard to fight back off of assumption if you already set the tone for it to
It
be
can
done.
spit. It can kind of spin out of control.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with me and her, it's just, and it's we like to joke up there a lot, and
Hmm.
those are safe jokes to get off with the only two single people. Now, when the day comes where, let's just say, I'm in a relationship or I'm seriously dating someone, that would stop, and it would never be something that people would have to even, and vice versa.
My last plead the fifth is: has there ever been a moment where you genuinely had to throw hands or almost throw hands with somebody to settle tensions or whatever on the podcast? And if so, who?
Almost. I mean, I've talked about it, but I 100% got to a point where I wanted to fight Flip, but I love Flip. So, and in that moment, it was just me being immature. And Ish, there was a moment with Ish, but that was also another immature moment that we removed from the pod. Just me being in my ego, me being in a certain space, allowing also other personal things to influence how I address them. Um, and some of the thing with Flip was kind of like the jokes and how they're framed and how I'm also perceived off the pod based off of these jokes. And if I ask you once to stop and you don't,
You playing with me now?
now I feel like, yeah, which after you have a honest conversation with the person, you can be like, I'm tripping. It's not that serious to where I ever feel like I need to have a physical interaction with you. But yeah, that was it.
It's interesting because if I was to think about the various brands up there, I think you sit in a unique position because, like, coming into the pod, Joe's brand, Mel's brand, Mark is new, but Mark's brand, like, there's people who have an opportunity because their online influence outsides is yours, and so their voice with the jokes that they make or whatever they can take on a different space and spin than maybe yours do, because people not necessarily gonna like your organic or wherever it was when y'all started isn't the same. So like I definitely can empathize with that. And it's interesting too, because when I think about people who are going through rebrands, it seems like if I was to think about I think you, Mel, and Flip have been verbose about, hey, I'm trying to do this thing now. I'm trying to navigate this thing now. I know y'all may know me from this or assumed I was a way because of
Mhm.
what y'all saw me on this space or in this platform or whatever publication. But now in this new era, this new season of my life, I'm trying to do this. And so I think I could see and understand, because each of y'all have had, whether they're acting or not,
Mhm.
moments I believe where it's like, hey, come on, stop. I'm trying
Yeah.
to do
No,
this
yeah,
thing.
no. We've definitely had serious moments where that's been a case and not just a thing for entertainment's sake. The one thing I always try to acknowledge is that uh, I've never felt like I had a brand. I've been known. I might be popular to certain people. I might be a celebrity to someone's eyes. But as far as a brand, I never felt like I had a brand. I feel like I've always been building on a brand. And that's what I'm still doing.
I think,
So
yeah, keep going.
so for me, that was very important. And with this level of eyes on me now,
Hmm.
where for a lot of the world, this is their first introduction to me. A lot of people had no clue I even did music before this.
Hmm.
I need to be very um, careful about what I think or what I allow people to think of my growing of the brand at this point. So if you had enough knowledge of me in the past when it came to music, a lot of people just associated, my sound or my music with freaky bedroom and freaky E or whatever it is, right?
She might be
Uh,
young, but she's ready.
yeah, whatever, yeah, all those different things. And I'm 41, I'll be 42. That's as much as that was a part of me in that era. And we told those stories. And if you have enough conversation, if you sit with me in actual real life, you would have to really know that that is not what I'm focused on. That's not key and essential to my brand or anything, which is a big part of why now you have to step outside of the podcast and and show the world what it is that you really want to do, which is why I'm excited about now just going out on my own and shooting my own content, so that now when people get to, they see me on the pod, they can understand, okay, this is what he does here and this is what's essential to him here. Now we get an opportunity to go on this side and let's see what he actually wants to sell to us. Let's see what he considers to be his brand or his, you know uh, the landscape of what he's trying to do.
Hey, man, I got one last question on this plead the fifth, and we get up out of here, dog. Because we went over. You was mad gracious. You like to talk, boy. I gotta respect it. Uh, so, we were in another space, not on mic, and we were talking about like the state of R&B music. And we had a conversation, and I said, hey, the real challenge I think today is, so the black church has changed so much over the past 50, 60 years. And even in the last 10, 15 years, especially after COVID, that a lot of cats that we hear and stuff today genuinely cannot sing, right? And that might sound like hate, but they can't sing in the same ways that like Peebo Bryson can
Hmm.
sing, right? So my last plead the fifth for you is, back when you was doing music or whatever, was there anybody that you thought, man, they can really sing, and you heard them or they went to a studio with them and you realized, yo, this nigga cannot sing for real?
Mm, trying to think. I'm pretty sure there are a few people, but they're probably not known at this point. They
Okay.
they, they didn't make it. Nah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've had the pleasure of working with
Singers,
elite
vocalists.
vocalists, uh, people who would intimidate you and I like that challenge. Like I like being around that. When I was younger, I was going to the Village Underground. I was going to Soul Cafe because that's where the singers went. The singers, that's where they went. And if you
People
want to,
people looked at you crazy when you said, "Hey, Sade is cold. She has a great sound, incredible catalog." There's a lot of women who sound like that. People kind of like just rolled their eyes at you when you
yeah.
said it on the pod, but I knew what you meant.
Mhm.
It sounds blasphemous to like what whatever you want to be entertaining, but like that's the truth. There's a bunch of these little cats out here who they sound cool.
A lot of people knew what I meant, but the problem is that there's just certain people in musical history that you're just not allowed to talk about in any type of way and not be able to criticize, because who are you to criticize? It's just there's just certain people. Sade is one of those. Beyonce is one of those. Ali is one of those. Jay-Z is one. There's just Michael Prince. There's just certain people that when you speak about them, the mere idea of criticizing or giving a critique is blasphemous, and I understand that, especially if you're also in music and you don't exhibit the same level of talent. I get that. So
Yeah.
it's a risk that you take, but it's.
It's good for the conversation. And I say this to someone who I love Sade. Like I grew up Saturday mornings, we clean up the house. That's one of the things that might come on. If I go to my, if I got drug along to my parents' kickback, you hear that kind of music. But I get it, man. Look, you talked about the fact that you're next. You're excited. You've been excited and interested to get in this space. You were doing this. You were doing this work 12 years ago, 2013. In the space. What does that next look like? Are we talking like an R&B money? Is it you saying no? It's not.
It's not simply just me sitting in front of a mic with the same background and just talking week in and week out. No, it's going to be me shooting content, me producing content in the way that I see it. It can be me interviewing someone. It could be me sitting across from someone and talking. It can be me dissecting some level of musical history. It could be me doing skits. It could be me doing whatever it wants. And I love the fact that I'm able to do that because I always lean on the fact that I'm an entertainer and I want to be the best entertainer possible. Uh, who knows? There could be a day where I hone my skills so much that I'm now sitting in front and hosting a night show, or wanting to host award shows. I want to leave the room open to do whatever entertainment is going to call on me to do, and that is what I'm using this platform to do, to exhibit those skills. um, so yeah, I've done it in music, I've done it on stages, I've done it now on the pod in a certain form. This is a world for me to do whatever I want to do, and the people who enjoy it can come along for the ride, and the people who don't and only want to hear me on the pod, they'll hear me there. The people that only want to hear me sing, you'll hear me there. But yeah, this is my own world to do me.
Yo, it's been Emanny Salgado, father, musician, creative, podcaster, solid brother. Thank you so much, Emanny. I appreciate you being on the show. Man, just I appreciate you, man. Before I let you go, where can people get at you? We're gonna put all the links in the show notes, but I'm gonna give you your green field to do that.
Uh, Emanny music everywhere. I know a lot of people are used to calling me Emanny. That's fine. You can call me that as well. But Emanny music, whatever, whichever one you want to pick. And yeah, reach out to me. I'm easy to find.
And
Easy.
and you do reply to your emails eventually.
Yes, I do. It takes some time because they come through, and after a while, I get annoyed seeing the red sign showing that I got 102 new emails. So eventually, I do go through it. But
You light
yeah,
skin for real. Okay,
yeah,
I get it, Manny. I
I am.
appreciate you. We will talk soon, bro. Peace.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.